I suppose I have a question, and it could be also a thought to take to inquiry. Um, you know that I'm preparing for a Zoom presentation tonight on the work to people who may never have heard of it before. And I find myself a little overwhelmed at all the different possible ways to explain the work, which doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. I mean, I think simple is better, um, but there's just, my mind kind of just keeps going in circles. Like there's so many different ways that I could talk about this, and of course, I've heard countless ways that it's described. So I don't know. I guess I'm curious. Of course, you have lots and lots of practice of describing the work, and I don't know. Do you have any advice from your experience or sort of guidelines that you think about when presenting to people who are completely unfamiliar with the work?
Yeah, it's a great question. Um, the work is it's a funny thing. It's hard to put your finger on what it actually is in a way. It's these four questions and turnarounds, and it's a way of questioning your thoughts and experiencing something different. But what is it? What is it? And one of the things I like to do is to use an analogy. For me, I love the analogy of the string and the snake. Is a famous analogy from ancient India, where you happen across a what you think is a snake, and you freak out, and your heart starts pounding, and you run and scream, and call everybody there, and make a big deal out of it. And then when you look closely at it, it's just a rope, or just a string. And once you see the reality of what it actually is, it's not so scary anymore. It's just like you can laugh about it actually, because oh my God, I was scared for nothing. It was just a rope, and so that analogy, you can play with it in different ways, but I love that analogy because it just shows you how our story of reality is what scares us, not always the reality itself. Sometimes there are some scary things in reality also, but by and large, a lot of the the, the stress and fear and emotion that we experience is due to our minds making it bigger than it is, or making it scarier than it is. And what the work does is it cuts through that and says, let's just look at reality itself and see what's actually there. And maybe it is a snake. Okay, great. Then I'll calmly step away from the snake. But maybe it's just a rope, and I just don't need to be worried about it. But in either case, there's a kind of calmness that comes in when you look objectively at things, and that's the way I see the work, as a way of, I often say, a way of going back and taking a second look. And I find that to be just so helpful when emotions become strong. And so emotions are what bring us into the work. And when they're strong, chances are they're stronger than they actually, like I'm seeing a picture that's not, that's larger than life in my mind, or scarier than it is in my mind. So yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a million ways to kind of talk about what the work is. It certainly is valuable to yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but I love analogies because they just kind of simplify it and give it a simple reference point, and then go in and actually do a little bit of the work and see what it looks like in real life, and that can fill in the gaps.
Yeah. Yep, that's great. I'm glad that you reminded me of that little story because I remember hearing it from Katie and it was so profound. Like it's funny that I haven't thought of it in quite a while because I used to think of that all the time. That's what I'm doing is discovering a rope, and yeah, that's perfect. Thanks for that, jogging my memory.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's a great analogy. I heard about it long before Byron Katie, just from studies of Eastern philosophy, and it was just like, wow, this is a cool idea. Like that you can actually have your heart beating faster over nothing, over a story. And what the work does is cut through the story so that you don't have to have that experience
Yeah,
necessarily. Yeah.
yeah, it's so relatable. I've definitely done that with snakes or lots of little things.
Yeah.
Um,
And the and always the doubt is, okay, well, what if it is a real snake, right? And like, and people are like, well, is this just going to make you blind and kind of say, oh, well, I'm sure it's just a rope, and then you actually get bitten. Like that's a really valid concern. And uh, the way I think of that is that just going back and having a second look, which is what I consider inquiry to be or the work to be, is going to give you an accurate picture, a more accurate picture of what's actually there. And if it is a real one, then you'll take appropriate action. But it doesn't have to be a freaked out appropriate action. It just be, okay, step away from the snake.
yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. And good luck with your presentation tonight.
Thanks. Yeah, I still, I've been sitting in the work with it the last few days, and I'll sort of just get clear and get free and lighthearted about it, and then just lots of little fears creep back in. Like if there's time, if no one else has something, I could just work a thought like, I won't explain it well, you know.
Yeah, sounds really relatable. Yeah. So if you want, I don't know if there's anyone else, but if not, I'm happy to do the work with you.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So again, this is kind of a future situation. So it's a little more nebulous to work, but it also can work really well. Just imagine yourself in front of those people. I think you said it was
Mm-hmm.
on Zoom, and and you're presenting, right? So you won't explain it well. Is it true?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the fear. So, can you absolutely know it's true? You won't explain it well.
No.
And how do you react? What happens when you think that you won't explain it well and you're imagining or getting ready for this presentation?
I see these images, me on Zoom, people looking kind of blank or non-responsive, or then they maybe have a question that seems like, oh, they really didn't get at all what I was saying, or they've misinterpreted, and I see myself kind of trying to go back or fill in the gaps or try it a different way, but then I can feel the inner experience of, oh shoot, now I'm talking too much. Now I've gone down a rabbit hole. I should have kept it simple. I should have, like I can I can feel the self judgment happening as I try to explain and become more muddled or confused feeling. I can feel like kind of right here in my chest and throat, just this feeling of I don't know, some kind of energy that feels like, oh God, I just can't wait for this to be over, or like I've made a mess of this. Actually, I remember this feeling years ago when I did a radio interview when I was in my 20s, and I had been doing peace work in the Middle East, and I came back and was interviewed for local radio. And the very first question, I just didn't know how to field, and I started kind of rambling on, and it was a little too autobiographical, and I didn't know where to stop. And the interviewer was looking down. He wasn't even looking at me, and I just couldn't gauge at all how my answer was coming across. Is this understandable? Is anyone getting this? And of course, I'm speaking to these unseen people, and I'm remembering that feeling of just like, oh God, I started off on the wrong foot here, and I was already imagining my in-laws listening to it and judging it, which I think they were really unimpressed because they didn't like our work anyway. And God, I just remember feeling this feeling like, why didn't I keep my mouth shut? I'm just regretting, and I feel like I've humiliated myself. I've made myself look unintelligent. I'm not clear and decisive, and I'm way too emotional. All these judgments, like these stories of me, are there. Yeah, so when I have this thought, I just imagine, oh, this is just going to happen again, how it's gone before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting that you connected that, because the future fears are often based on past experiences, past stress. Um, so that's part of how you react is you connect all of that, and it charges up the emotion, because I've been there
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. It feels inevitable. Like, no matter how prepared I am or how clear I seem or how everybody says, like, you'll be great, like, I know I'm going to get in there, and then there'll be some moment where it just kind of goes sideways and I don't know how to recover. And yeah, it feels like I'm just headed for that experience again.
Yeah. Yeah. And how does that affect you now as you're thinking about doing the presentation?
I just keep feeling this, like, I'll be clear for a little bit, and then I just feel, gosh, that same, just like I'm slipping into this fear. And of course, with that comes all this self-judgment too. Like, this isn't hard. This is something you've been doing for a decade now. Like, you can explain this. Plenty of people do this. People learn the work, and then they open their business like 6 months later, and they're like offering the work to people. It's not hard. But what also follows is just all this self-judgment that I'm not more put together, that judgment that I have any of this fear at all anyway coming up. Like, that's proof that I am not the person to do this, or that the work doesn't really work for me because, look, I still get hung up on the littlest things.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole loop of self judgment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, it's so strong in me that I keep trying to feel like I keep seeing it and stepping out of it, and it just is really strong. Like, it doesn't take anything to trigger that. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So, who would you be without the thought, just without the thought that you won't explain it well?
When I don't have the thought, I feel a lot lighter in my whole sort of physical being. I feel excited in a way. Like I feel I see myself sort of like leaning in when I'm on Zoom, like when you want to share something, you just get closer to the person. Like I see myself, even in a situation where somebody says, "Okay, so it's like this" or whatever, and they kind of misrepresent it, or I can see like, oh, there's been some misunderstanding because that's not exactly, whatever. So I'm responding to that moment, and without the thought, I see myself. I sort of like pause to listen and consider, but I don't get stuck on anything. I can feel that there's like half a dozen good responses in me, and all I have to do is pick one. It doesn't even matter which one. Like I I know this process from my own experience, like just myriad ways. I know how it can feel. I know I I'm just ready to respond. And it's not because I'm an expert at all. It's just like this is a road I've been walking on, and I can tell you what it's like, or I can tell you what I've learned along the way. I can tell you like things that have tripped me up. Like I have experience to speak from, or I've read a lot of Katie. I've listened to a lot of Katie. I've gained so much from being in inquiry circle. Like I have a lot of things I could pass on from people like you, or who have been on the path longer than me. Like it's not even just what I have available. It's like I've been gifted to hear and receive so much wisdom, and that's all somehow available in me to pass on in a moment.
Yeah. And it's funny how the thought, I won't explain it well, just gets in the way of that.
Yeah. Yeah, without the thought, it's almost like I see it in my mind, but it's almost like I'm not there. The space that would be me is kind of like just this open window or something. Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be physically there, but I energetically see it more like, oh, I'm just drawing from this storehouse of wisdom that I've been witness to, and finding like, oh, what serves? And I can try it this way, or I
Yeah.
can try it that way, and I can check in with the person. Does that make sense? Or, and I can just keep offering. And ultimately, if it doesn't make sense, that's okay too, because sometimes my mind's just not open to receive things either, and that's an okay experience. Like I can also just affirm, if you don't understand this now, that is just fine. You don't need to. If you don't
Yeah.
get it, it's not for you right now. Like I can feel the how there's no stakes about any of it. Like there's no risk, you know, to me not explaining or someone not understanding. Like it's just not really possible that that's a problem.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so different.
So so let's try turning it around. I won't explain it well. What would an opposite be? Let's explore that.
I will explain it well.
Okay. How could that be as true or truer?
I often have the experience of feeling unclear in myself. Usually it's I'm talking to a friend, and I check in, like, does this make any sense? I don't feel like this is clear. That just came out like a jumble. And I think 100% of the time someone reflects back to me, that made total sense. Yeah, I perfectly understood that. Like, people just don't seem to say, like, yeah, what was that? That was a mess. That just doesn't happen. So, this thought that I
Yeah.
won't explain it well seems to only be true for me even if somebody else still has questions, it doesn't seem like usually the fault is that I can't explain something. I actually think I'm a kind of good explainer at times. Like, I like to think about how things fit together or make sense or what people need to know in storytelling or something. Like, I think I'm okay at that.
Hmm.
So I think I will explain it well.
Who knew?
Well, yeah.
But it's just cool to see this balanced perspective. It's like it's as possible, and maybe even more possible, that you will explain it well than you won't explain it well.
Yeah.
And it's the story again, going back to that what we've first talked about, like the snake and the rope, right? That it's the story that I won't explain it well that makes me believe that I really won't. When your experience actually kind of points to the opposite. So it's just, we don't know what will happen, but the possibility that you will explain it well coming in now starts to balance this story and show something in a more, yeah, like less biased
Yeah.
light. So, what's another turnaround? I won't explain it well, if there is
Yeah.
one.
This is interesting. What do you see?
Maybe something like they won't understand it well, as opposed to I won't explain it
Mm.
well. That it's not fully my responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems likely. I mean, often we just come to something with our preconceived notions. And people might do that. People might think, oh, it means this or it means that. Especially in a kind of eclectic spiritual community, people might already have practices or something. So that, like, they might not fully get it. And honestly, the work it's kind of an enigma that it's so simple and really profound, and it's kind of easy to miss that. It's easy to either think it's
Yeah.
really complicated and it's an intellectual thing, or I don't know. It's easy not to understand. Like, can I say that I really understand it? Not, not fully.
Right?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm often rediscovering it, kind of on a regular basis too. Like, oh my gosh, that's what a thought does. Wow, like something I think I know is still I still don't understand it or misunderstand it plenty of times. So I guess it's fine. It's fine for it not to be understood. That's not on me, and that's not the goal, even. Yeah. Again, I just come back to this like surrender of the grand timing of the universe, that this isn't like my moment to make something happen. This is just me showing up, and whatever. Maybe seeds are planted, or maybe people get just whatever they need. And maybe that's the whole idea of the work, or maybe it's just some side comment or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this turnaround because it kind of brings in the other people, not just putting it all about myself. When I'm presenting and it's all about I won't explain it well, or I need to do a good job, then that's when I become nervous. That's when I become, just completely worried. But there's a lot going on. I'm just a part of this whole process, and seeing that they may or may not get it is also perfectly fine and normal. Then it takes some of the pressure off of me having to do a good job.
Yeah, and in my mind, I can see it balance out this like this hyper focus that I've had on me and like how am I going to do this and is it going to work and am I going to be good, and really what this is just like I'm one person on a Zoom with who knows 12 or 20 other people, and this is a meeting of all of us, you know, like I'm really just the one here to offer something, and it's not my show, you know, like the point is for them to try something and
Yeah.
experience something and get to think about something. That's the whole point. It's not about me doing it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking about sometimes when we present things, we're presenting something that's really important to us, or something that's really kind of we've like a core practice, or something that we believe in. Or even I was thinking of you with your radio station, like some good thing that you believed in, that you did, like some piecework in the Middle East or something. Like these are like personal, these are things we care about. And if I'm thinking it's about me, and almost in a way subtly getting validation, or getting some extra, just like other people valuing what I value, which gives me a sense of confidence
Mhm.
in a way, like it can put this pressure that I really need them to get it, right? But what this turnaround does is says, wait a minute, like they might not understand it well, and that's okay, because it's may not just be what they need or what they're interested in or anything like that. And it stops this, it sort of breaks this pressure to get reinforcement, or get support from others for something that I do, that I value, that is kind of core inside of myself.
Yeah. Yeah, right. There's a lot of, I guess, love, approval, and appreciation, or maybe especially just kind of acknowledgement or something that can feel like it's adding to my sense of self worth or my value as a person. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that puts a lot of
Oh
pressure,
yeah.
because now I need to really look good at this, or be good at this, in order to have that uh, extra
Yeah.
validation, if you will.
Right.
Yeah. And without it, like the turnaround is okay, well, they may just get whatever they get, and that's okay. Like I don't need to explain it well, kind of, as a maybe another kind of weird
Mm-hmm.
turnaround, but it's just, it's okay. I'm just here to present something, and end of story.
Right. Yeah, it's funny that I have a goal in mind because I'll probably never see these people again. Like they're not even in my home state necessarily. Like why do I have so
Right.
much invested in what it means for them going forward or in their life or something? There's no way I can even know anything about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just present,
Yeah. That's
and then that's all I'm here to do. Share.
right. Suddenly it starts getting really simple. Really feels really free, because I don't have this big job to do anymore. I'm just, yeah, showing up, and hey, I'm here, and blah, blah, blah. And hope you have a
Yeah,
great day.
right.
Bye.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, thank you for your work.
Thank you, Todd.